Hey guys, so I haven't made a video in a long time, and I know when I'm desperate and watching all the videos and I see someone who hasn't made a video in a while, and there's not an ending, like they tapered and they got off and they're doing well, that I get a little freaked out, worried for them, freaked out for myself. So I wanted to make sure I get back on here and update everybody. So I am doing much better. Obviously still tapering very slowly. I think the last time I made a video I was at 13 milligrams, and now I'm at 11.5216 or something like that. I don't have my paper in front of me. And don't ask me how I ended up with numbers like that. It's just kind of how it's just kind of gone along with how my body tolerates it. I haven't gotten down even 2 milligrams since I last made a video. I'm still very proud of myself and proud of my continued determination to get off this stuff. I've got a long ways to go. But just keeping on. I've healed a lot since it seems. Definitely since my last setback. I've healed a lot. Some of even my food sensitivities have become less dramatic. So like where I would go off I'm not on keto, but I'm pretty close to keto. I stay away from not all carbs, but I eat a very, very low amount of carbs. I eat pretty much the same thing every day because I know it's good for me and safe. And it does make a big difference when I stick to that. But now when I deviate from it and like maybe sneak something, like a cookie, or I even went out for Mexican food and I ate. I really ate. It wasn't as devastating to my body and to my psyche as it was before, which is pretty cool. I always do better in the summers or during the summer than I do during the winter, so that could be part of it too. We're coming into autumn here and I'm like, don't want to do it. I live in Utah and the winters here are it's not like they're super cold or it snows a lot. They're just gray and blah, and that's hard on me. But I'm going at the pace my body can tolerate, which I wish I could go faster. But it's working. I just 2 weeks ago was, for the first time in almost 3 years, was able to go on a vacation to Arizona. And it was 5 days and we flew, and I was able to keep up with everybody else and enjoy myself and have fun and really had a blast. It was pretty amazing because I was very worried the whole time before I was leaving at how it was going to affect me, and assuming the worst, assuming I was going to be dragging myself and struggling, and that wasn't the case. And it was funny because I also just let loose on my diet. I mean, I literally just ate what everyone else was eating. I had plans to go down there and eat my own food, but it gets hard, when you're around a bunch of people. You're out at a restaurant so I just ate everything I wanted to eat. Everything. Which, let me tell you, I do not have... It takes a lot of discipline for me to eat healthy. I have a love of all things Mexican food and sweets. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible about sweets. My sister-in-law made a peach cobbler that probably had, it has so much sugar in it, and I just ate it and ate it and ate it. I ate till I couldn't breathe. And I don't do that at home. I do intermittent fasting, and I make a protein shake in the morning, and then at night I have a salad with lots of protein, or I switch it up and have something else with lots of vegetables and protein, and that's it. And I did fine. I did great. I even had a couple sips of coffee because I was feeling. It'd be tiring. The schedule we kept would be tiring for a normal person. We were there for 5 days, and we really packed in those 5 days, 2 days being just airport. I traveled with my brother and sister-in-law who had 2 kids under 4. One a baby, 6-month baby. And then me and my 2 kids and my husband. And we all traveled together. And then every single day that we were there, we had an activity planned, like museums and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was a little tired. And then, the coffee smells good. Everyone's drinking coffee, which is another hard one for me because I love coffee. And it wasn't even good coffee. I should have cheated on good coffee, but that's okay. And I didn't let loose on coffee. I did that once not too long ago because I have been feeling better. And my husband is from Brazil, and I drank some very strong, it wasn't Brazilian coffee, but it was made the way Brazilians make it, which is very strong. And I didn't even drink that much, but I felt awful and wired and gross. And this, I just took a couple of sips of, compared to what I'm used to being married to a Brazilian, it was pretty watered down. I did fine. I will say, as soon as I came back, I tapered down some more. And I think because of all the cheating and pushing myself, cheating with the coffee and food, it was a little rougher than usual. Sorry, I don't know if I'm getting a cold. But nothing that, I couldn't handle and that I haven't come up against before. Racing heartbeat, lucid dreaming, tossing and turning in my sleep, not really feeling like I get much sleep because the lucid dreaming, it's like that half sleep. I don't really get agoraphobia anymore, or monophobia at all, but I certainly don't want to go anywhere. And going anywhere, I really have to push myself. Even going on vacation, I really had to push myself. But it's funny because I always feel a little better when I do. So, even after I got back, I planned a day before my last taper that I would go out with my best friend and her daughter, because our daughters are best friends, and go to the park and let them play. And those are all things, I have to push myself to do. But I do. I feel better. So, yeah, I'm doing okay. I don't know what that means. I've got so long to go. I don't, and this journey can be so up and down. One minute you can be doing well, and the next minute you're well, for me, I mean, I've been writhing on the floor with akathisia. I mean, I spent 8 months in akathisia in the very beginning. And then my last setback that I have recorded on here in the video before last, it was 30 days of akathisia. So, you know, you never know what's going to happen, but I have faith. You know, my body definitely wants to heal, and it is going to. I know it's going to. Oh my gosh, it's taking so long. I do look at it sometimes at my process and how slow it is, and go and feel like it's daunting. But then, you know, my advice to anyone who feels the same way, who's been on a long taper and can't seem to go as fast as other people, is just take it one day at a time and don't get stuck in the future. Don't think about what's going to be, how it's going to be, because we don't know. You know, it could be smooth sailing from here. Yeah, and then the cool news is maybe for us that it takes a long time. We step off and it's not much different than our taper. It's not some devastating downward spiral, you know. But we just don't know. So a lot of times if those thoughts slip into my head, I just go, I don't know what's going to happen. And I move on in my thinking instead of dwelling in it. So I guess, you know, in these, a lot of times I just tell my story, which I hope is helpful, but I've definitely picked up some pointers, I think, in this 2.5, 3-year journey I've been going through. The future thing is a big deal. Worrying about the future does us no good because we're not fortune tellers. We have no clue what's going to happen, you know. I mean, I've been at my worst and had to practice that. And when I'm at my worst, it's almost every second that I have to go, McKenna, you're going to be okay. McKenna, you're going to be okay. McKenna, you're going to be okay, you know. Because I know some of you are not in a great place watching this, and I've been there. And you will be okay. I mean, of course, the last time I was in akathisia and a setback, I had no clue when I was going to come out of it, and I learned a lot in that last setback about, even though it's beyond hell, beyond excruciating, you still can find the acceptance in it. It takes a lot. You know, I think I've mentioned it in my previous videos. One of the things that helped me tremendously was books by Claire Weekes about how we can desensitize our nervous system. I really practice those things. One of the things that helps me the most is I've really come to understand that just because I have a thought, it doesn't mean that it's true. Our brains lie to us all the time. And thoughts, this is how Dr. Claire Weekes talks about thoughts, is she says they're like clouds. We can just watch them pass by. We don't have to hold on to them and give them any meaning. You know, we get to choose which ones have meaning, and all those negative thoughts that are attached to benzodiazepine withdrawal, they're just clouds passing by. They're not truths. You know, that the thoughts of I'm never going to heal, or I'm not going to be strong enough to do this. You know, this is too much. Which Granted, it is too much, but it's not, because we make it. And we all make it. We all do. We all make it. It's not something that should ever have to be asked of a human being, but we all do. That practice has really helped me, because I don't latch on to those negative thoughts. That's how I practice not going into the futures. Once I get those thoughts of being in the future, I just let go. And I go, oh, there goes the thought about the future that means nothing. All that we can really do is stay in the now, even when the now sucks. But it's a lot better than giving ourselves more anxiety about what could happen in the future. I will say, for me, one of the most important things has been my contact and communication with my God. I won't even go into religion or anything like that, because I don't think that matters. I think it's the relationship you have with a higher power that helps. I don't think it matters what the higher power is. It's that unconditional love you feel. And maybe some people I'm talking to here are atheists as well, and if you can attach to love, if you have no God, love for your children, love for your spouse, love for your family, love is something you can attach to, and I do that. Well, 24/7. I have children, so that is like, all right. For me, at least, as a mother, it's like, and this is Benzos for mothers, so for me, attaching to that love for my children has carried me through things that I never could have even imagined or believed I could survive. That 8 months of day in and day out at Kathesha was brutal, and there was a moment where it was like writhing on the floor, and I got through that. And anybody else who's listening, you'll get through it too. And some more advice for how I've been getting through this. Again, I just touched on it because I messed up my diet so bad on vacation, but I've gotten right back into my diet and the way I eat. I stay away from, and by stay away from, I mean I don't eat it. Dairy, I stay away from. Soy, I definitely stay away from sugar. Processed sugars, so like cane sugar. I do use honey in my smoothie. Maple syrup is another one that I'll use, but I just don't really have a lot of purposes for it, because I'm not eating anything you put maple syrup on. But in a pinch, if I ran out of honey, I would put maple syrup in my smoothie. I also stay away from caffeine. What are the other ones? Oh, I have, and before this injury even happened, I had food sensitivities. That's something that runs in my family, to random things like melons, concentrated lemon and lime juice because of the sulfites, anything high in sulfites like sauerkraut, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, those sort of things. I mean, I had those sensitivities before the injury, and I do have more food sensitivities now. I don't know if everybody listening knows, but this somehow affects our histamine response. So a lot of us end up with food sensitivities, hence the benzo belly and the bloating and the weight gain. So I do have some new ones. I have some chemical sensitivities that I didn't have before, and I, avoid those things. And the way I figured that out was just a process of trial and error. I also use, like, the shampoo I use and conditioner are called Free and Clear, and they have nothing in them. They have no, it's like as basic as you can get. The lotion I use is by the same brand. It's called Vanicream. It's just, there's no scents, there's no parabens, it's just, again, as basic as you can get. I avoid makeup, to be honest, which stinks because I should probably be wearing it, but I don't care anymore. Nail polish, I don't wear any nail polish. I really avoid any sort of chemicals as much as I can, softener, putting softener, heavily scented softener in the laundry, things like that I just avoid. It was really sad. So, being at home all the time and not wanting to do much, kind of being a couch potato, I try to push myself. That's the thing I'm the worst at, is pushing myself to, like, go for a small walk, or partly because what led to my brain injury was a steroid injection, and I got the steroid injection because of a back injury. So, like, I'm in pain. I very rarely take anything for that. I learned my lesson from the last setback, taking tramadol. Probably because it had the SNRI. It's an opioid and an SNRI, and it probably messed me up. But I would, if I absolutely need to, I take ibuprofen or Tylenol. But I don't get as much exercise as I should. But so I got a dog. Sorry, back to my point. Thinking it would help, and because I got a lap dog, this adorable little lap dog. And I had dog allergies, and I knew I had dog allergies, but I knew some bothered me less than others. And I got this dog, and I did fine. I thought I was doing fine. My sniffles went away, my itchy skin went away, I got once I was used to the dog, I felt like I was totally used to her. And it wasn't until a couple things happened that made me realize, but I also, this whole time I had this dog, was not able to go down on my benzos because I just wasn't feeling well. And I ended up realizing that even though the dog allergies weren't bothering me outright, they were affecting my health. And luckily enough, her owner is amazing. I had to get a certain breed, so I was able to just give her right back to the lady she came from. And actually, I only had her for 3 months, and she was so happy. She was so happy to go home. She was fine to go home. She grew up with other dogs. She was the only dog here, and so, and she was very needy. So, all these sensitivities, right? I avoid them all. I got much better after, we gave her back and vacuumed, had the carpet professionally done and the furniture, and I was able to start going down again. So, avoiding sensitivities is one of the major things I do. I am blessed to be in a position where I don't have to overly push myself. I don't have to work. I know that not everyone is as lucky or as I am in that manner, but when you do need to give yourself downtime, because we're in a society that, and most societies these days are go, go, go. I have to get something done. I have to do this. I have to do that. When you're not able to do that, don't beat yourself up for it. That's one of the things that took me, probably one of the longest things that took me to get. Because I have two children. One of my children is older and moved out, but my other one is little still. She's only 10. And so I still have a lot of responsibilities there, but sometimes I have to lay down and I have to take a 3-hour nap because I tossed and turned all night. And sometimes I'm still a little hard on myself about it, but not nearly as much as I was in the beginning. I just felt like a failure as a mother. And now I don't allow myself to feel that way. I don't do that to myself because I'm not a failure. I need downtime because eventually I need to be a grandma. I need to get through this so that I can continue to be there for her. And it's okay that I have to make sacrifices now for my health. And it's okay for you to do the same thing too, especially when it comes to downtime. If you need to just take a day where all day you just sit on the couch because that's what you need to do, that's okay. You know what I do? I curl her next to me and I tell her how much I love her, and we joke and we play and we color together, and and it's on the couch. I'm not always able to take her to the park. Last year I didn't even meet her teacher at all. And that's not like me. It was very hands-on and involved in things like that prior to this injury. And you know what? It's okay that I'm not now. And if you're not able to be, that's okay too. One of the things that really helped prepare me for some of this is I have a father who has multiple sclerosis, and it's an extreme case. And he is pretty much paralyzed at this point from the waist down. And I watched him handle it very well, and with a ton of acceptance for his situation, a ton of acceptance for himself and what he has to do, and love for himself, continued love for himself. And I watched over the years, because it's a progressive disease, how he had to change the things that he could do and the things that he enjoyed. And, prior to being diagnosed, he was a pilot. He was a military corpsman. He was extremely athletic and active. And, that's changed over the years to him being able to sort of peck on the computer. But what he does, he enjoys. And I can't do all that I was able to do before. But what I do, I decide to enjoy, instead of thinking, oh, well, I used to be able to do so much. One of my favorite things to do is go, this is dorky, rock hounding. And injury-wise, I can't do that anymore. And energy-wise, I can't do that anymore. So, I can't hike up half a mountain to get to, where an old mine is, where there's, crystals, and so I found other things to do. I sell crystals online, and I enjoy it. I take photos of them and edit them and put them up for sale and do the shipping, and I enjoy all of it, and I watch a lot more TV now and get into series, and I've learned to enjoy that. And so instead of using my energy to focus on what I'm unable to do anymore, which I did in the beginning of this. I mean, I have almost 3 years of going through this, so I've learned a lot. So for anyone new watching this, or who's new to this injury or new to benzo tapering or benzo withdrawal, it's amazing what our minds are capable of when we work for it. And it is work. It's a choice to accept where I'm at and enjoy it, as opposed to look at all the things I can't do anymore. And yeah, sometimes I look back and miss it, but I also tell myself, you'll be there again. I don't know when, but I will be. And even if I'm not, I'll find a way to be satisfied with where I am. All this, though, very much, I don't want to say easier said than done, because now it does come to me naturally, but it took a lot of changing the way that I think over these past 3 years. And if I can do it, because I am stubborn, then anybody can do it. I'm trying to think of, the other ways that, I've been getting through this is allowing loved ones to be there for me. The ones who believe me are more involved. The ones I think there are family members. I don't have a lot of family, but there are still family and friends who I can tell are skeptical and might think I'm full of bullcrap. And I still tell them exactly the way it is. And whether they believe me or not, I don't really care. I mean, there are days that I know my husband doesn't even believe me because I look okay. Because maybe I'm in a good mood, but I will say my worst, probably at this point for a long time now, the worst thing I've been dealing with is the chronic fatigue. It's just so bad. It's off the charts bad. Doable, but bad. And I know that sometimes he looks at me and I might be laughing with my daughter on an app and I look totally fine, but I'm like, can you please help me to make dinner because I can't do it right now. And he's even said, you can sit there and be on that app and laugh and you look fine, but you can't get up and make dinner. And it's like, first of all, if I feel well, I'm up making dinner because I want to be up doing things. If I'm sitting on my butt all day on an app, it's because I don't feel well, And I think we all go through that because this is not an illness that someone can physically see. In the beginning, you could see mine. It was so bad, I was physically dying. My body was wasting away. But now, no, not so much. But I don't let that get to me. And again, that's a choice. It's not my job to make everybody believe what this is and how could they possibly understand? I know that I never could have. If I had seen somebody prior to going through this myself, I would not have been able to understand. So I just let it go. With my husband, I might voice up and say what I just said, like, hey, if you see me on an nap all day, it's because I don't feel well. Because I was a very active, like, person prior to this, like, not sitting down and always going, and I liked it that way, and then at the end of the night, giving myself some time. Now it's like 90% of the day is giving myself some time. The other 10% is pushing myself to, like, shower or brush my teeth, and then if I make food, I'm downright proud of myself, and that's okay, that's good. That I should be proud of myself. My chronic fatigue is off the charts, and I dealt with that a little bit before, but now it's like crazy. And the way I combat that is, like I said, if I need to sit, I sit, and my thinking, my diet, all that stuff. If I eat something that I have food sensitivity to, it like triples the chronic fatigue and makes me feel like I can't even like lift a muscle. So, watching out for those food sensitivities, which I think most of us end up with, because it affects somehow this process affects the histamine, whatever controls histamine in our brain. So you think we'd be able to take antihistamines too? At least I can't, because it gets me all revved up, where it makes most people tired. No, I can't. It does the complete opposite. So let me see. This is really long already. If I have any more advice. Reading, I read a lot, and I read just books for enjoyment. Not all the time. Sometimes I'm reading informational things, but because you can escape in a book if you like to read. I mean, your brain is not thinking about anything. And I find that, especially at the end of the night, to be really helpful to go to sleep, because I really need those moments where my brain is quiet. Part of the reason training my thinking and my thoughts has been so hard is because my brain's never quiet. That reading has been one of the things that, like, I don't think I could go without, to be honest. I'm not very good at keeping a routine as far as time goes and when I take my meds. So I don't beat myself up over that. If I'm up till 8 a.m, I'm up till 8 a.m. It's not the greatest feeling, but it is what it is. My husband works from home, and it's during the summer. So if I sleep till 4 p.m., I sleep till 4 p.m. And my daughter is fine, and she knows she's loved. And when her mommy gets up, she gets so much love from me, I beat myself up for that for a long time. Not being up when my children are up, not being, all those mom things that we do before this happens, And to those of you that don't have the help I do, you can still absolutely do this. you're still absolutely strong enough. You're not in a position where you're not. I'm sorry. And I love you. And I see you. I see you. You're not forgotten in my thoughts and my prayers. I think about single moms a lot, almost on a daily basis, to be honest, going through this. And, if there's anything, I know there's not a lot I can do, but if there's anything I can do, just comment. And even if it's just prayers or someone to talk to, or, anything, let me know. And same goes for you, though. Whatever it is you feel like you're not doing well enough as a mother, don't beat yourself up for it. We are going through something that most humans can't even contemplate. The level of difficulty. And in a prior video I read from Man's Search for Meaning, because I identify so much with the man, not so much now because I'm feeling better, but there have been plenty of moments in this process that I've been able to truly feel like I identify with someone who was in a concentration camp. That level of pain, that level of fear, that level of your body rebelling against you. If you are not able to do everything you want to do or everything you could do before, that's okay. Just get through this. It's not going to be pretty. It isn't for any of us. But if we get through it, I'm not going to say it was worth it. Not yet, anyway. Maybe I will one day. But if we get through it, that's all that matters. Pretty or not, I've seen a few YouTube people who have posted their benzo story, and it looks like they're flying through it. They're still working. They look gorgeous. They're put together. They're smiling. And I am right now, but I'm smiling, but I don't look put together. And I'm like, man, you lucked out. It's not the case for most of us. It's not pretty for most of us. And that's okay. That's okay. This is it. Whatever you feel like you're lacking in, you're not. You're doing and accomplishing something that, it goes beyond what feels like human limits should. And that's an understatement. So that's the number one thing I want to, end this video with for all the mothers out there. And even if you're not a mother, I'm sure you still feel the exact same way about different aspects of your life, your work. Maybe you are living with family at this point and you're not accomplishing your goals. Maybe you're young and you had so much more in mind for what you wanted to be doing at your age. Or maybe it's the opposite. You're older and you're, wondering how this is happening so late in your life, or it's all okay as long as you don't stop. all the ugliness, all of it will eventually be washed away once you're done. And you will be done. We will be done. And it won't matter how ugly it was once we're done. Just don't stop. Don't let go. When one thing doesn't work, put your thinking cap on and try the next thing. And when that thing doesn't work, try another thing. And just never stop. That's one of the things I've learned in this process too, is there are infinite possibilities for our healing. There are so many different ways that it could happen, or why it can happen, or when it can happen, that we don't, again, we're not fortune tellers. We can't tell. We don't know. So don't ever give up, and do your very best not to beat yourself up or stay trapped in the future or the past, of what's going to happen, or the sadness of, look what I can't do anymore. Look who I used to be. Look who I am now. You'll be who you are again. I'll be who I was again. We all will, as long as we don't stop. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, and I'll leave it at this, believe that there is not permanent damage. We do heal from this. It just takes a long time, longer than what is fair, it seems. But that's neither here nor there, because it is what it is. I use that saying a lot now, and not in a negative way, but in an accepting way. It is what it is. But I truly, with all my heart, don't believe any of us are permanently damaged. I've gotten better over the tapering process than where I started from this injury. My story is a little different from other people's because I wasn't injured by the benzo directly, but either way, I couldn't get off of it quickly without dying, seizures, and I think I told my story in the first, part, like never having taken a benzo before, having a reaction to a medication, thinking I should just be able to come off in a couple of days, because why wouldn't I? And then I'm on the floor having seizures, my blood pressure is crashing, and my heart rate is through the roof. And I'm going, what is happening to me? It took me forever to figure out, getting tested by 900 doctors, not getting any answers. But I've heard of a lot of people who begin to heal over their tapering process, and sometimes it's hard the whole time. And either way, sorry, I get off on tangents. Either way, it'll end. And we're all going to be okay as long as we don't stop and we keep trying. And, I've got so far to go. I'm not in denial of the idea that I'll probably run into another really difficult situation, really hard time where I'm not smiling like I am now, time where a vacation is absolutely so far away from possible, I don't have any, but I'm not scared. Before, I would sit and let thoughts like that terrify me. Oh, what if I get bad again? What if I get bad again? Now I can sit there and go, well, I probably will, but I'll be okay, like all the other times. And I don't let that fear outside. I know there's chemical fear. I know there's a difference. I know we do go through a very chemical fear when and that's what I mean when I say I'll probably end up in a spot where that chemical fear exists again. But in between, I'm not going to worry about it. What am I going to do? What am I going to do about it? I just accept where I am at the moment. And that truly has been, one of my saving graces. So this is already really long. I hope it's okay that it's long. I know when I'm in those fearful places, those chemical fear places, that I watch these videos and I don't mind that they're long, because if someone's speaking of hope and they're doing better and they've, then I hang on to that. And that's another thing. That's another, last bit of advice. Hang on to the hope you find in the videos, and if you're in the forums, be careful with those. I don't go on those outside of setbacks, because I like to stay in the moment, and those tend to cause me to future trip a little bit. But oh my gosh, I just blanked out. Benzo brain. Oh yeah. Hang on to the hopeful videos or information you find. Don't hang on to the horror stories, because even the people in those horror stories make it. There's nothing to fear. They make it. I have my own horror story. I think my last few videos were part of that horror, which I'm sorry I started my channel like that, but that's where it was. Hang on to the hope. And that's what I really did. I did not go around when I was unwell watching horror story type videos, or reading or focusing on the posts in the groups that were not helpful. I found the ones that were hopeful, and I would read the success stories, and that's what I would hang on to. That's what I still hang on to. That's huge advice I have too, is even though I definitely know the feeling of like that I've completely lost control of my ability to control, or I've completely lost my ability to control fear. I know that feeling. I know that feeling well. But even in those horrific screaming moments where I'm just screaming because the akathisia is so bad, there's still a tiny, tiny voice that is saying, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. And now I've done it so many times and for so long that now I don't fear it if it comes. I know chemical fear I'll experience, but I will still have that voice saying, you're going to be okay. This will end. And it will. It will. I have a dear friend that had akathisia for a very long time, and she healed on the benzodiazepines and gabapentin, and was able to, after healing, very quickly. Now her injury hers was from an antidepressant. But as soon as she healed, I think it was like 3 months later, she was off the benzodiazepines, and we're talking 3 milligrams of Ativan. She was off of that and off of the gabapentin, and she's still doing great. It's been over a year later. She's still doing great. She just, all of a sudden, she just healed. So, I mean, I've seen that firsthand. This is a good friend of mine. And I'll never forget. I mean, because our first phone calls were full of tears. Were her. Because I wasn't in full-blown akathisia all the time, and she was. And I would be there for her when she needed me. And then all of a sudden I got the phone call that she was doing better. And then I got the phone call that she was doing great. And she's off all medications and is an entirely different person. And we met through a group. And she is the person she always told me she remembered, and is back to doing everything she was doing before. And I'm talking many, many years in just that. What she went through was many, many, many years of constant everyday akathisia, which I considered the worst symptom of anything I've experienced in benzo withdrawal, or my injury, whatever you want to call it. Both, I guess both. And she made it. And that'll happen for all of us. So this is way too long. I guess I might be able to end it at a perfect hour if I talk for 2.5 more minutes. I love you guys. Wherever you're at, I see you. I know, I think about you. I know that sounds like a blank statement, but I do. Like I said, I think of the single moms. I think of the younger person who's going through this that doesn't have as much life experience. I think about, the older person who's going through this, and their bodies are even less. I mean, I don't know what their bodies are doing, but I can't imagine going through it as well at an older age than I already am, because I have some young friends that are going through it, and I'm like, man, you're going to be done. You're going to be living your life. By the time you even get to my age, it's going to be a thing of the past for you, And I'm sure that people older than me feel the same way. So I see you, and this is a page for mothers, but men, I see you as well. I can't imagine being the primary provider and going through this, or even if you're not the primary provider, men are, there's this stigma that they can't get sick, they can't be taken care of, they can't. And I know that just like anyone else, you need to be taken care of in some ways in this process. So, I hope and I pray that you all have that care. And if there's anything more I can do, any more questions I can answer, or anyone I can be there for, I've got 10 seconds and it's 1 hour. Let me know in the comments. I don't check them often because I don't get a lot of comments, but I'll always eventually get back to you. So, I'm over an hour. Yeah, I love you all. Have a good night.